So of course we have the Bluetti AC200L. I have two 200 watt solar panels. So now it's time to test the 30 amp output. It's just passing that voltage straight through to all of my outlets. And in this case, it's running the Instant Pot. The MC4s on the 200L into the output of the Bluetti Charger 1. And look at that, we're transferring 500 watts of power. We cooked a roast tonight. First we braised it on the induction cooktop, then we cooked it for an hour in the Instant Pot. I ran the blender to make a protein shake, all while charging my iPhone, my iPad, and my laptop. Hello friends, it's Nomad Brad coming to you from my box truck. Today we're going to be reviewing the Bluetti AC200L, and I'm going to be sharing some of the unique features that I believe make it the perfect power station for van life or RV life. So this isn't going to be your typical power station review. I'm going to actually show it in action inside my tiny home on wheels. We're going to go ahead and of course test the solar charging abilities. Additionally, I'm going to be testing this 30 amp output and see if I can charge up my house battery bank with it. And we're going to connect it up to Bluetti's new Charger 1, and we're going to see if this might be the perfect combination for all of you mobile vehicle dwellers out there. I'm pretty excited. Let's dig into it. First things, I want to just cover some quick specifications so you know what we're working with. The AC200L does have a 2400 watt pure sine inverter, and additionally the battery bank is rated at 2048 watts, and that is expandable. So already you're starting out with a pretty big unit. I think for most vehicle dwellers, a 2400 watt pure sine inverter is about all you're going to need. All the cables come in this little storage bag. You have your MC4 solar panel input cables, 120 volt wall plug, and the cigarette lighter charger that almost all power stations come with. Now the limitation on these is your cigarette lighter can only put out about 100 watts, and when we're talking about charging a 2000 watt hour battery, it's just not practical. And so that's why I'm going to be testing it with the new Charger 1. This unit right here, it's designed to connect directly to your vehicle's battery, and so your alternator through this device can pass up to 560 watts into the battery bank. So now we could actually fast charge this battery bank in just a few hours on the road. So let's take it outside and put it to the test. So we've stepped outside my tiny home on wheels. I'm currently visiting my dad in Yuma, Arizona. It's absolutely a blustery day today. I'm filming this on January 8th, and we're right in the middle of this huge windstorm. Unfortunately, California's getting hit with it. They're burning up, and we are getting some of the same winds down here in Yuma. So, of course, we have the Bluetti AC200L. I have two 200 watt solar panels. They're rated at 38 volts a piece. I'm gonna go ahead and connect them in series because that will allow me to connect them without using any kind of splitter adapters. And we're gonna go right in to the Bluetti. On the side right here, we have our PV input. And you can see it allows up to 145 volts, which is really nice. That's something to consider. A lot of power stations have a maximum solar input of around 60 volts, or definitely under 100. So the fact this Bluetti accepts up to 145 volts, it makes installation of different types of panels very flexible. So the Bluetti uses these waterproof type connectors. So we'll go ahead and insert the plug and we'll screw it down. So you do get a nice positive fit with it, just like that. And then on the other end, they have this large XT connector. I think this might be an XT90. It's definitely bigger than a 60. Anyway, on from this, Bluetti also gives you the other end, and that leads to your MC4s, your universal connection. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this together like that. Bam. And now we're gonna plug from one panel, we're gonna take the positive and we're gonna plug it into the negative from the other panel. This is called a series connection. And then we're gonna take the positive from one panel and plug it in to our AC200L. And then we're gonna take the negative from the other panel and plug it in. Click. And that should give us about 75-ish volts into the 200L. Let's take a look at it. I hope you can also appreciate the challenge of creating these videos while actually being a nomad. You know, I watch so many YouTube videos of people reviewing equipment, and they're in like their nice garages and their studios, and I'm not trying to dog on them. I mean, I think it's great. It would be so much easier to make these videos in a, you know, controlled environment with fixed lighting and no wind, but that's not the life I chose. I chose the nomad life, and so this is what it is. You know, it's an adventure, and but it's exciting and I enjoy it. So that's the review today. It's a windstorm and I'm laying on the concrete floor to hook up solar panels, but I'm doing it for you guys. A little bit of a flicker. The camera doesn't like the LCD screen. Anyway, you can see the battery's at 56%. We're currently getting 188 watts coming in from the solar panels. Now, as I mentioned, these are 200 watts a piece. That's just the rating. They're flexible panels. I would like to see more like 300 watts. However, they're laying flat. The sun is low in the sky. Ideally, they should be up at more of a 45-degree angle. I tried to tilt them up, but it's so dang windy, I just couldn't get them to, you know, to be up at a better angle. But if I could get them up like at a 45, we could probably get about closer to 400 watts out of them. But nonetheless, just wanted to show you guys how that's working. Very simple to use, the solar setup. Additionally, on this unit, it's got two 100-watt USB Type-C fast chargers. So that's for your iPhones, your iPads, your laptops. A lot of things charge with USB-C now. Your drones, portable other smaller battery banks. It's got your cigarette lighter out. It's got two regular USBs. And then these are all your 110-volt outlets for your blenders, your cooktops, your TV cables, all that kind of stuff. And of course, here's that 30 amp. So now it's time to test the 30 amp output on this AC1. And I'm gonna take my trusty old shore power cable that I don't use too often because I primarily rely on solar. But this is your standard 30 amp, 110 volt power plug. We're gonna plug that in right here to the AC200L, very easy. There it is, nice and secure. And then we're gonna take the other end. This is my twist lock 30 amp connector. We're gonna bring it over here. And here is my shore power outlet. Now, if you guys have RVs or if you have conversion vans like Winnebagos and things like that, then you will no doubt have one of these installed from the factory. So there it is, twist it, that's connected. So here we are. You can see on the display of my inverter charger, I have this little sign right here. This is my shore power icon, and it's showing bypass directly to my loads. So what it's showing me is because shore power is plugged in, it has stopped solar charging, and now it's just sending power directly into all of my outlets. So if my battery bank was low, it would activate the charger and start charging my battery bank. However, my battery bank is full because Nomad Brad sized an amazing solar system. So I'm gonna plug in this Instant Pot and create a load for the inverter, and we'll see what the Bluetti does. Got the Instant Pot on, we're gonna hit pressure cook for 7 minutes. And there it goes, the Instant Pot is on. I just heard the inverter ramp up. We're still in bypass mode. So let's see what the output is on the Bluetti. I would expect to see around 700 watts. And look at that. Nomad Brad the Magician, 770 watts out. So right now, the Bluetti is sending out 769 watts from its 30 amp shore power through my big mess of cables into my shore power plug, and that's running into my inverter charger. And now if my batteries were low, it would activate the charger, it would charge my house batteries, which are right down here. I have 400 amp hours at 12 volts. But because my batteries are charged, it's just passing that voltage straight through to all of my outlets. And in this case, it's running the Instant Pot. So that alone is a pretty cool feature. For anyone that has an RV or a camper van conversion, my hair is a mess from all that wind. My hair is a mess anyway, but the wind doesn't help. If you have an RV or a camper van conversion, this would be a great choice as a backup power source. And the nice thing is, if your house batteries go down in your RV or your camper van, you could just plug the Bluetti into your main shore power, and then all your outlets will work just as usual. So you don't have to now move a bunch of stuff and try to plug into your Bluetti power station that might be sitting on the floor or in an inconvenient spot. So it works for shore power. That's pretty cool. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hook up the Charger 1, and we're gonna test the ability of the AC200L to charge off the starting battery. Let's go do it. To test the Charger 1, we're gonna be using a 12 volt lithium battery as the starting battery. And the Charger 1 includes everything you need to make it happen. You'll get a set of generous battery cables with the ring terminals already included. There is a safety breaker. You get the Charger 1, and then the Charger 1 also comes with this set of MC4 output leads, and so you connect that into the Charger 1, and then you're gonna use whatever solar charging cables come with your power station. So pretty much all power stations are gonna include a set with MC4s, so you'll just plug that right in, and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and set it up. Battery positive lead, and we'll put it into input positive. The negative side, which is labeled battery negative, that's going into the negative input. Now we're gonna connect the output the same way. We'll put positive and positive and negative and negative. So now the next thing we're gonna do is connect the battery leads to the battery. Go ahead and connect positive to positive, just like this. And then negative goes to negative, of course. You guys know how it is. So now the power is flowing from the battery through the cables into the Charger 1. So I got my handy iPhone. We're gonna go ahead and open up the Bluetti app. You wanna make sure Bluetooth is on. I'm gonna click offline mode. I don't wanna register right now. And the cool thing is any Bluetti device you have will all show up within the same app. So we're gonna click on the bottom option here for the charger. And here it is. It tells us the house battery is at 13 volts. And so what we're gonna do now is at the very bottom where it says charging voltage, we're gonna click on that. It says, warning, disconnect the device. Our device is disconnected. We'll say yes, next. And now you can click on select model. So Bluetti has all their units listed out here. So you can select whichever unit you have, and it will assign the appropriate voltage. We're gonna click the 200L, and there it says 56 volts is the right voltage. But I wanted to show you really quick, this also works with really any power station. You can click on custom, accept, and you can adjust the voltage for anything between 15 and 56 volts. So if you have an EcoFlow station or an Anchor power station or a really small power station that might charge at 30 or 40 volts, you can adjust everything from in this menu. So this Charger 1 is pretty cool because it works with the 200L and all the Bluetti stuff, but it also works with other brands. I really like that. But for today's video, we're doing the 200, so we're gonna go back to select model, 200L, next, and now we're ready to go. Now we're gonna go ahead and plug in the MC4s on the 200L into the output of the Bluetti Charger 1. There it is, it's all connected. And hopping over to the iPhone, we're gonna slide the tab for charging. So it's showing us the starting battery at 12.3 volts. The AC200L is getting charged at 56 volts. And look at that, we're transferring 511, 7. It's jumping around a little bit. It just started, but just about 500 watts of power. So that's pretty slick. More than twice the power I was able to get out of those solar panels we just tested. Now I want to do a real world cooking test with the AC200L and see if it can handle the heat. Here's what I got going on. I have a beef roast I'm going to cook in the Instant Pot, but first we're going to sear it on the induction cooktop, all through the Bluetti, and I'm going to run the blender, and at the same time I'm going to be charging my laptop, my 16-inch MacBook Pro, an iPad, and an iPhone. And we're gonna see how this thing does. You can see we got 100% battery, everything is off, inputs and outputs, and we'll go ahead and fire up the USB DC portion. And there we go, the device is just kicked on. Got 110 watts going out. So now we'll turn on the AC outlets right here. Instant Pot just fired up, induction cooktop. And here we are, AC output 400 and 500 watts. And so I have the induction cooktop cord pulled out, hooked to an extension cord going in to the Bluetti. While the roast is searing, I'm going to make a little protein shake to test out the blender. 94%, 79 watts output on the DC, 500 watts on the AC. Let's see what happens when we click the blender in. So it looks like the blender pulls about 500 watts. We spiked up over 1,000 watts output. It's pretty good. The roast is looking really good. I think we're gonna call it quits on the cooktop. We're gonna drop the roast into the Instant Pot. This is water, and I added a can of cream of mushroom soup. Then we'll add these onions and potatoes, and there's also some chopped up garlic as well. Check that out. It looks pretty good. And one reason I love using an Instant Pot for cooking is because it's fast. I'll be able to cook this entire roast in just 1 hour versus if I was using a slow cooker with, it's got slow in the name, you'd have to let this sit for probably 8 hours and just kind of slow cook all day. But in the Instant Pot, it's instant fast, 1 hour cook time. Let's go. We'll take a look at the display here. 738 watts on the inverter side, 62 watts on the DC side. So we're gonna let that cook for an hour, and then we'll see where the battery capacity is at. But so far, we've already ran the blender, braised the meat, and we're charging these devices, and we're at 89% capacity. That's pretty good. And we're back. The timer just finished on the Instant Pot. Let's check it out and see how we did. First, I'm going to take a peek at the screen. Everything is zeroed out. The DC output has stopped. The AC output has stopped. And we're still at 67% battery, which is pretty impressive. The laptop is fully charged. The iPad and the iPhone, all fully charged. Now let's take a peek at the roast. And here we go. The roast smells delicious. Oh yeah, look at that. Pretty tender. Look at that, flakes right apart. All right, I'm going in for the first bite. This cream of mushroom roast was an absolute experiment. Let's see if it turned out okay. That's pretty good. It's tender, got a little bit of cream on the outside. I like that. Overall, I'm really impressed with the performance of the AC200L. We cooked a roast tonight. First we braised it on the induction cooktop, then we cooked it for an hour in the Instant Pot. I ran the blender to make a protein shake, all while charging my iPhone, my iPad, and my laptop. And the battery on this is still at 67%. So it's easy to see that you can do quite a bit with this unit when you're living in a van. So when you take into account all the features of the AC200L, easy solar input, the ability to output 30 amps and charge your house batteries through your shore power connection, and also the ability to fast charge it through your alternator with the Bluetti Charger 1, I think it really makes sense. This is a good choice for folks living a mobile lifestyle who want maybe a backup power source. Like I mentioned before, if something happens to your house power or your house solar, you can back up with this, charge your phone, keep the fridge running. I think it'd be nice to have. Or if you have a smaller electrical system, if you're traveling in a small van, maybe a Transit Connect, and you just don't want to have a custom electrical install, I think this Bluetti AC200L is a good choice. You should consider it. And I really like the Charger 1. My favorite part about it is that it works with any brand power station. Now I have an EcoFlow power station and I have the EcoFlow alternator charger, and the biggest drawback on that unit is the EcoFlow alternator charger only works with certain models of EcoFlow power stations. It doesn't even work with all of them. But if you get the Charger 1, you can charge your EcoFlow, charge your Bluetti, charge your Anchor, whatever you got. Thanks for watching. This is Nomad Brad signing out. Peace.